Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You are welcome to the Discovery Show TDS Tv here on Facebook, on YouTube, Instagram, and on Twitter. This is a show that seeks to interview professionals in the diaspora and beyond who are making significant impact in the area of healthcare, politics, religion, academia, and any other field. My name is Precious Adadidiodu, ably produced by Mr. James Kwabena Opon. And I'm privileged to be joined by Mr. Stephen Adombiri. He is actually a principal nursing officer in one hospital in Ghana. He will talk about that. We'll go into that. And currently, he's also a PhD student at the University of Toronto in Canada. You're welcome, Mr. Stephen Adombiri. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Precious, and thank you for having me. It's such a great delight to be here.
Amazing. I'm excited to have you here, bro. Tell us, who is Stephen Adombiri?
All right, so thank you very much, and a shout out to all those who've been able to join us today on the TDS show today. My name is Stephen Adombiri. I'm a registered nurse in Ghana for a little over a decade, working specifically in the Sandema Hospital in the Upper East region of Ghana. And this period also includes the time, of course, I've taken for study leave, both for my undergrad study and master studies. And with that duration in service also means that I've risen through the various ranks of the nursing profession. And as Precious said, I'm now in the rank of the principal nursing officer. My hometown is Bongo Bion in the Upper East region of Ghana, and I'm married. And I'm glad that I think my wife has joined us on the show.
Amazing.
Just to add a bit of background, educational background. So let me even start from the elementary school, right? I mean, primary school, right? I mean, I did attend 3 different primary schools at least before getting to the junior high school or junior secondary school, as we call it then, because my parents did move about a lot. So after my educational training in nursing with diploma degree originally, started work as a staff nurse at the Sandema Hospital, worked for a while, and then went for further studies on study leave at the University of Cape Coast for my undergraduate degree. And after that, came back again to the hospital, worked for a while, and then went to study for my master's in the UK at King's College London on a Commonwealth shared scholarship. So came back 2019, worked over a year, and then I'm in the Canada today at the University of Toronto, where I'm pursuing a PhD in nursing science with interest in evidence-based practice, quality improvement, implementation science, and global health. Yeah. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Stephen. This has been a great journey. So what was your motivation for going into nursing in the first place? Where did it all start?
Yes, that's a good one. So I came into nursing because actually it appeared to be an obvious choice at the time. You know, in senior secondary school, my school was actually a day secondary school. Boarding house was meant for only for 9 years. So I stayed with a family in Boga, a family friend. And this person worked at the hospital in the finance department. And so because I was living at the hospital quarters, I often saw male nurses going to work dressed in their nice white uniforms. And then sometimes when that family friend receive patients at the ward, as family patients who come to hospital, I'm often the one to run errands. I take food to them, you know, so I was getting used to the hospital environment. And also for the fact that the nursing training, the Bogatanga Nursing Training College was close to the house. So I guess you could say that I was surrounded by Penn's nursing. And I began at that point to see nursing as a potential career pathway. So when the application forms were out, I bought one and then I applied. What is interesting is that I applied to Cape Coast NTC as my first choice, and then, Kolebu rather, as my first choice, and Cape Coast NTC as my second choice. So the question then is, how did we end up in Boga? What happened was that when the list came out for interviews, I went to Kolebu, I checked on their notice board from head to bottom, I didn't see my name. And then I thought probably I didn't see well. I did it again, I didn't see my name. So at that point, I was beginning to feel a bit distraught. I mean, the female applicants who were by me at that time said, "Oh, na so the nursing, essentially, they were saying that what is a man or a male going to do with nursing? They were here to appreciate the fact that nursing is not a preserve of women, and that I think, let me just say this, because I think it's one of the misconceptions that we do have, particularly maybe in Ghana or in some other countries as well, that nursing is women's job. No, I think the best way to put that is that nursing is dominated by women. Nursing is dominated by women. It's not, and it's interesting that sometimes when you go into the history, at some point, women were not even allowed to be nurses. It was the males, And if you look at what nurses are supposed to do, I mean, according to the International Council of Nurses, the fundamental responsibility of a nurse is fourfold: to promote health, prevent illness, restore health, alleviate suffering. I mean, how do these noble ideals translate to only being something preserved for women? Yeah. So I left Kolebu. I took car, went to Cape Coast, checked the list. Still, my name wasn't there. So I came back, concluding that year I wouldn't go to school. Then some few days later, I received a letter. I opened it. It was from Boga NTC and inviting me for interview. I said, what? I didn't apply to Boga NTC. So later, the principal will tell us that those of you who didn't apply to Boga NTC but have found your way here, is because we looked at your names and we looked at your grades, and because your names were from the north here, we thought that, yeah, when you get to here, you could come in and contribute, So that was really what happened. But it is one thing, So I finished my NTC training. I started work, but as male nurses, particularly those of us who are a bit academically inclined, I mean, when you start work, you begin to be thinking, what next? Should I go and probably work my way to go and do medicine? Those ideas. At that time, the options available for you as a nurse included doing a advanced diploma in some of the special programs, whether theater nursing, emergency, and all that. They were not degree programs then. We also had the medical assistantship program, MA. We didn't even have physician assistant program then. So I was contemplating what to do, but something happened in 2010. And that was what led me to decide that, no, I'm going to go along.
Very briefly on that.
Oh, okay. So in 2010, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, as part of their 50th anniversary, organized a contest for nurses. Started at the regional level to semi-finals at the national, and then they selected the final 6. Oh yes, the final 6 from each region to have that national quiz. And part of the reading, we had these Fundamentals of Nursing by Barbara Kozie's book, which was one of the key things we were to read. And I got to appreciate what nursing was truly about in terms of how nurses are supposed to be intelligent. I was reading these nursing theories, these models in nursing, and I was amazed at what nurses are to do or are doing, and I said, wow, their role to population health and all that. So I said that, okay, and I was not going to defect. I was going to stay within nursing and seek to make a difference, seek to advance myself to the highest level that I can. And that idea has shaped some of the things that I've done that have brought me to this stage. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you very much. Viewers, we are speaking to Mr. Stephen Adombiri. He is actually a principal nursing officer in Ghana, or at Sunday Monk District Hospital. I hope I'm right. And currently he's a PhD student at the University of Toronto in Canada. I would just like to hear from you very briefly, within 1 minute, what have been some of the key highlights of your nursing practice in terms of clinical practice and then scholarship in itself?
Okay, all right. As in terms of the area of scholarship, I think, as I said back in the 2010 when I won the national quiz contest, I think that was a major highlight, scholarly wise. And I think what I didn't add is the fact that when I returned from that program, when I got to the station in Sandema, the hospital brought picked me up from the station, poured powder on me, and then took me through the principal street of Sandema amid jubilation and singing. And so,
amazing.
Yeah, but I think the second issue has to do with when 2017 when I was awarded the Commonwealth Share Scholarship study for my master's in the UK, and I think that was a major thing. I mean, unless you are from someone say, unless you are drilling oil in your house, there's no way as an international student you can school in a country like the UK. I mean, as a self-funded. So getting that scholarship really, my tuition fee was 18,420. Convert that to Ghana citizen. You get the idea, the drift here. So I mean, it was such a great experience getting that award. And not only is it that I got the opportunity to study in one of the most prestigious institutions in the world, in nursing institutions in the world, but it did catapult me in terms of how quick I moved. Because really, in Ghana, I wasn't sure when I was going to do my master's because I just didn't have the financial resources. And an elder son, I was supporting my siblings through school. I had a sister in midwifery, I had a brother in NTC. You can imagine. I mean, I just didn't have the financial resource. So getting the scholarship really provided opportunity for me to really go into that. And that has helped, brought me here. And then I think the recent one was just in December 2020 when, again, my colleagues and I, as part of the CCF, this time CCF anniversary. So when 10 years ago, 10 years after, on the occasion of the CCF anniversary of the Ghana Resident Nurse and Midwife Association, we took the history prize. Yes, you got that. The history that we wrote about the association and the Upper East region took. I'm the one in the Batakari, the Fugu, looking on your screen on the left side with some of my colleagues here. Yeah, so I think, in terms of practice, I mean, generally it's about the things that we do. I mean, what gets to me is about when you give up your best for the patient. And it's amazing how, as the thank you that comes from our patients and all that. And I think I recently shared this on the occasion of my wife's birthday, that patients had told me on a number of occasions that as an appreciation of gratitude, saying that may God bless you with a good wife, and I think my wife is the answer to that prayer. And so I just think that, those are the things that we do for our patients day in and day out. We give our best and they appreciate the things we do, and they show their gratitude in so many forms. Yeah.
Steve, Charlie, you've got the vibes, I tell you. Mrs. Amma Kunedu, I can see you're watching. I mean, you see, Steve has already given the vibes, so I wouldn't say much. But thanks very much for being a good wife to my brother and friend. Thanks very much, Stephen. My name is Precious Adadidiodu, and I've been speaking to Mr. Stephen Adombiri. This program is ably sponsored by Henbeck 60 Hubs.
Meet Mr. X, an unhappy businessman who has been waiting for days for his goods to be delivered. Unlike Mr. X, business is booming for Mr. K because of his efficient partnership with Henbeck 60 Hub, also known as HB 60 Hub. We are an online platform that sources for goods from across the globe. We only pull high quality standard products from anywhere in the world and ship them right to your doorstep. Be it watches, clothes, bags, and many others, do get in touch by contacting us on www.henbeckagency.myshopify.com, or you can call us on +233 546 022 952 or henbecktravels@gmail.com. Henbeck 60, truly a world of endless possibilities.
To the stage, Stephen. Stephen has completed the Principal's Global Leadership Award, which was previously only available to second-year undergraduate students. As you heard Professor Phillips mention, this year we have opened up the PGLA to postgraduate taught students. Stephen will speak on the topic of which leader do I aspire to be like and why. Thank you, Stephen.
Good evening. It's a great pleasure to be here, and I have no doubt you all feel the same way. In talking about which leader I aspire to be and why, I begin with this quote. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. This quote is attributed to Dr. Martin Luther King, the African-American civil rights leader of the 1960s. By aspiring to be a leader like him, I'm not necessarily desiring to be a champion for civil rights, but rather to embrace some of the leadership qualities and principles that Dr. King embodied. Just to mention two: his resilience and his generosity. Resilience. This is a word that we heard so many times from the high-profile speakers who spoke to us during the PGLA seminars. We may need to understand that leadership practice does not always occur in good times, but that times of challenge will come, times of difficulty will come, times of crisis will come. And that at these moments, it is not only the leader's ability to stand through the turbulence and bounce back from it, but also the capacity to recognize and seize the opportunities that come in the midst of that crisis. Anyone who is quite familiar with the brief life and works of Dr. King will agree that he exemplified this quality of resilience. His generosity. One of the most important leadership qualities is generosity, that of taking interest in the lives of others, says Professor Ed Ben during our first PGLA seminar. For what could be more generous than the sacrifice of our personal comfort, our time and efforts for the welfare of others? These were the very things that Dr. King had to endure in bringing about positive change in the lives of others. Despite threats to his life and that of his family, he continued his struggle for racial equality and justice, and in the end, had to pay the ultimate price, being assassinated on the 4th of April, 1968. Now, you and I may not be called upon to bear a burden of such great extent in our leadership practice, but I believe that by reflecting and thinking on some of these qualities, such as resilience, generosity, compassion, sacrifice, that such great leaders embrace, we will all do well in our leadership practice. Thank you very much.
Steve,
Hello,
this is you giving a flawless speech when you were at King's College London. Charlie, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
I mean, it's an amazing speech. I will let you touch briefly on what the occasion was, but this is flawless.
Okay.
And this year, the International Nurses Day celebration, the theme is Nurses, a voice to lead, a voice to lead. Invest in nursing and respect rights to secure global health. You gave a very beautiful speech in London, and this year we are talking about nurses, a voice to lead. When you return from your masters, I mean, you were upgraded and or perhaps promoted, that's the right word, and you acted as, I mean, the nurse manager in your hospital, in your district, a whole hospital, district hospital. Looking back and just watching this video again, would you say that you have been on the path of some of the qualities you did mention? What has been the experience being in nursing leadership?
Okay, great. Thank you for showing that video. Just a quick comment in relation to the background. So this was part of a co-curricular program during my master's. So the Principal's Global Leadership program was a co-curricular activity in which we were required to apply. It was competitive. So in the end, about 40 were selected. And it equated to learning about leadership in a global context. So at the end of the program, we took a term, and then I was invited to give a speech to climax the occasion on behalf of my colleagues. So that is the background to that. And in the speech, I spoke about two leadership qualities, learning from Martin Luther King, that of resilience and generosity. And interestingly, as we mentioned, I mean, we have been through COVID and we are still in it. 2020, when COVID struck, I mean, nurses have demonstrated resilience, and that is what has been called for. That of being able to go through the challenges, whilst at the same time appreciating what the opportunities are within those challenging circumstances. As we work as nurses, we have worked under difficult circumstances. COVID had highlighted that well. I mean, we were already in those circumstances, but COVID came and then, sort of brought this to the fore. And I think the issue about generosity, in which that is not about giving financial or cash to somebody, but it has to do with the giving of ourselves. And is that not what we've been doing? Taking interest in the life of others. Sometimes, that even may go against our personal interests, And so I think these values that I spoke of back in 2018 are still as important as they were then, and particularly now that we are within the COVID era. And so personally, I think I've tried to live these values out in terms of giving myself, working as a nurse. I'm the nurse manager, but when COVID came, I availed myself to work in a COVID center. These were places that few people were not, people were not eager to work in, but some colleagues, with myself included, avail ourselves to work because we saw it as an opportunity. We can't leave our patients just to their fate. And I avail myself to work in a COVID unit. That's why I've been a nurse manager, providing hands-on care. There are occasions you have to go extra shift just to make sure that the shift is covered. And I know my colleagues from Sandema Hospital will testify to this, So in terms of the generosity, that's how I look at it. In terms of resilience, they are all related. I don't know whether I've answered all the questions or the things we talk about, but
yeah, certainly. Thank you very much. I have seen a few. I remember my Joy Online being published something about what you had said in your position. I think at that time, I'm not sure what was going on, but what the theme or the title of the publication was "Don't Deny Non-Mass Patient Healthcare," and that was attributed to you. There are a number of publications and great things that you have done, and we are very proud of you, Stephen, for all the great things. You just didn't come here to learn and then by theory and just go home. But when you went as a ward manager, when the opportunity presented itself to be, an acting nurse manager, you've discharged your duties accordingly, and we really appreciate you for that. Thank you very much, Stephen. Being in that position, putting things in perspective, what do you think are really the main challenges for nurses at all angles? We want to look at their work itself, career development, and all that. What are the problems really, so that from the policy point of view, from colleagues as nurses, how we could help each other, what can be done to help nurses?
Yeah, great. So thank you. In terms of, some of the challenges, and particularly in the context of working in a district hospital, and so maybe some of the challenges may be unique to district hospitals or even to regional hospitals as well. But I think generally, there's the challenge of inadequate resources to support nurses in their work to provide safe and quality care. Inadequate resources. And sometimes, just some basic but essential equipment, life-saving equipment are lacking. Either there's an absolute lack or they are in insufficient numbers. It's not uncommon to have a hospital, wards in a particular hospital, district hospital, sharing basic equipment like an oxygen concentrator, because they may be just 2 or 3, and they are sharing it among the walls, or even pulse oximeter or oxygen concentrator. Sometimes prescribed medicines are not available. Medicines are prescribed, but they are not available at the hospital, and either the patient and their family will have to go outside and look for it. And so these are some of the challenges work-wise, and they are affecting the quality and safety of the care that we want to provide as nurses. Nurses work in a hazardous work environment, limited protection, limited PPEs, personal protective equipment. COVID brought that to the fore so well. We're working with so much risk. Required masks, we didn't have the appropriate mask at some point, and some of these things, And so I think that is that. The other issue is poor physical infrastructure as well. Some of our hospitals, district hospitals, then physical infrastructure, you go there, they are not places that would contribute to healing. A healthcare environment is supposed to be, when you enter there, someone says, I think the president of the Ghana Resident Nurse and Midwife Association said, when you get there, 50% of your illness should dissipate, But that is the case. You go there and the infrastructure. I think some of them started as health centers and were converted to district hospitals, and there have not been an upgrade in terms of the infrastructure, And that's why I personally think that the Agenda 111 by the government to build district hospitals and refurbish certain hospitals is a great initiative to really move us towards quality care, universal health coverage, because but it's an opportunity to get things right, really. I mean, I no longer expect that if a new district hospital is being built, I no longer will expect as a nurse that I will see that, that you enter the ward and it's just one big space with the beds there, just one big space, right? So you enter maybe a male ward and it's just one big space, and then the beds are their space. I expect that what happens is that, yes, you may provide screens when you're providing the nursing procedure, but the patient, during consultation, during examination, the next patient is hearing whatever this patient is telling the nurse or the doctor. So there's no confidentiality, no issues of privacy here. We should take this opportunity to, as we are building new hospital infrastructures, building these things, aspect of quality into it. I no longer expect that there should only be one washing sink just at the nurse's table, so that when I'm at the edge of the bed, the end of the ward, I have to walk all the way to the nurse's table to go and wash my hands. We are talking about artists now. So these are opportunities for us, really, as we are able to get these things, these things right from the AGO. In terms of the way forward, quality health systems, high performing health systems, do not happen by chance. They take planning, they take execution, investment to be on track. And so I think that we all have a role to play, but particularly for health system leaders, we need to invest in our healthcare system to ensure that we are delivering quality health services. Yeah.
That's for decision makers, policy makers, and all that. How about nurses ourselves? What can we do to help each other, to help ourselves?
Okay, good. I think that there was an issue about study issues, challenges as well. We need to also consider the issue about, continuous professional development. I mean, the idea of nurses wanting to go, and do degrees. What's interesting is that elsewhere, like in the US, they set a target that by 2020, they want 80% of their nursing workforce to be degree holders, baccalaureate, Bachelor of Science holders. That's the investment elsewhere others are making because of the value of higher education in nursing, because the research in this context is telling us that, look, it makes a difference when healthcare is provided by highly educated nurses. It leads to reducing patient mortality. It leads, readmission rates are decreased and all that. So it is one thing to consider in terms of
not to cut you, but let me put you on the spot. I mean, being in a position as a nurse manager, I know nurses have complained bitterly sometimes that if you need a steady leave, or even if not a steady leave, but you need an adjustment to your duty roster so that you can study at the same time. Some nurse managers, either ward managers or nurse managers, as they say, will mafia you. When they realize you are going to school, they will rather put roadblocks your way so that you wouldn't be able to do it. What happens? What exactly is the problem? And how difficult is it? Is it because we are lacking the staff? That's why you don't want people to study. And even for those who are willing to still do, let's say, things like 9 shifts so that they can study in the day, how difficult is it for nurse managers and people in authority to permit them to ensure career development?
Yes, I think that, depending on the context, if you are in places like Accra, Tamale, where the universities that offer nursing are close by, and a nurse, will be able to juggle their professional work with schooling, I think nurse managers, we should consider being flexible and helping them. Though the caveat here is that whoever is doing that, the nurse who is going into such a program needs to understand that, once you do not get approval for such programs from the Ghana Health Service, for instance, you will not be able to use that, for promotion purposes. So after the program, you can't come and say that, oh, I've had a master's degree, use it to upgrade me, or no, it won't work that way. But if, for example, you have the intention of using that for other purposes, then that can work. But I think that nurse managers, ward managers, we should consider. Sometimes I can understand the frustration that the nurse managers and ward level managers face, because sometimes it's about the staffing issue, and they are concerned about maybe the staff, combining schooling and the impact on their, health. Right. Some of those things.
Thank you, Stephen. I know because of time, else you could have gone into the other things we could do. Viewers, please drop your comments. I'm coming to read them very shortly, and then we'll move straight into how Stephen got into Canada and what is the route to get into Canada for postgraduate studies. So please stick and stay with us. Share the stream. Invite others to watch with us so that people who want to pursue master's, PhD in Canada, in US, and all that, Stephen can give us some guide around that. My name is Precious Adadidio, ably produced by James Kwabena Opon.
Life is a journey and sometimes can be a lonely road. When friends and loved ones forsake you, all you got to do is to be bold. I knew it years ago that those who undermined me had their minds undermined, but I never mind. They should keep on undermining because I'm a real good. I must undergo mining. Talking of mining, it leads to discovery. We mine to discover, we learn to discover, we observe to discover. Friends can uncover you at the same time discover you. But I don't want to discover you, I would rather discover more, so I go on the internet and I listen to words of wisdom and intellect. Availability of information, interviews of great men and women all over the diaspora and all nations. Creativity at its best, dexterity of research, no need to go through any formal education. I introduce you to the Discovery Show. Let your friends and your family know the struggles before they blow, their highs and their lows. Pay attention to this show, it will make you feel at ease. The Discovery Show on YouTube got the steez. Now Perry, the presenter, please pose for the camera. I want to hear you say cheese. We are airborne like a flu. I want to hear you sneeze. True. The Discovery Show is live on air, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. See ya. TDS TV, Yearn to learn. Host, Harry Precious. Executive producer, James.
Thanks again for sticking and staying with us here on the Discovery Show. So, Stephen, let's talk about the Canada process. How did you get to Canada as a PhD student? So tell us your experience briefly within 2 minutes, and then we talk about the step-by-step guide for those who want to pursue PhD and masters in Canada. Yeah.
All right. So in terms of the PhD application, I think it's similar to what happened elsewhere, but some slight differences. So for instance, I mean, usually the process begins with, of course, you would have thought about your topic, right? And once your topic is, you know what it is that you want to pursue, it is now about reaching out to a potential PhD supervisor. So usually the universities require you to get a supervisor. In some other countries, it's not usually like that. When you get there, they can pay you the appropriate. But I take the initiative to reach out to a potential supervisor, let him or her know that, yeah, you are this person and this is your research interest, and can see that that relates to what he or she is doing, and you'll be happy if she'll be available to supervise you should you get admission. Yeah, and it starts from there. And then you also have to consider whether there is funding. Every program that you go.
So you know what? Since your path basically, I mean, glean from what you're saying that you've just started the tip. So tell us step by step, gradually, where do you start from and all that. So let's take it away within five.
The first step for me, the first step for I think is about knowing what it is that you want to study. Your topic. What is your topic? You know, and obviously you review the literature, because some countries will require you to produce, or universities require you to produce, a structured PhD proposal, you know, separately from the purpose statement. And so to the extent that you have been able to review the literature, you should be able to talk about the background of your topic, the problem statement leading to the research questions and hypotheses if required, and, you know, issues about timeline and all that. But in other countries like Canada and US, usually, I mean, part of your topic all goes into the purpose statement. They are known by different names. So you talk about your motivation, what you have accomplished, and why you are coming to PhD program, and why this particular university. And then within that, talk about, you know, your topic. So it's all part of that. So it's about knowing your topic, and then taking these things into consideration. Reaching out to a potential supervisor, you have searched the website, the university's website, identify faculty members whose research interests align with your topic, who can provide supervisory, PhD supervisory role for you, and reach out to them. And then that is also the point to consider. Really, there's funding. Right away, at times the supervisor will tell you that in this university we don't have funding for international students, and I don't have ongoing projects that require me to, you know, where I have funding to support you. And so all this information will be available at the program's website in terms of the funding. So it is usually made explicit. International students who are admitted to this program have automatic funding or not. In my case, at the University of Toronto, the funding is there. Is every student, whether domestic or international student, admitted to the program is automatically given a PhD funding. Other universities still in Canada here do not have that. So I reached out to one professor in one university, and that was the challenge because there's no funding for international students. I spoke to a colleague who experienced the same thing. So I think it's about these things. Get your topic, reach out to a potential supervisor, consider whether there's funding available for your program. Yeah.
Did you write IELTS, or others call it IELTS, or GRE, or any of those English language exams?
Yes, I wrote that one for my master's. But for University of Toronto, they have waived IELTS requirement for Ghanaian students. Once you have had your education in Ghana and you've been taught in the English medium, it is waived. Yes.
Is it any? I mean, our audience abroad, it goes beyond Ghana. So, is it for all countries that study in English, or just Ghana?
I'm not sure, because when you go to their website, there are a list of countries really that have been exempted. So when you go to the list of countries are there. And
so, is it waived on university basis, or the whole of Canada as it stands?
I want to believe. I'm not so sure about the other universities in Canada whether it's the same thing. I want to believe. I'm inclined to believe so. Yes, but sometimes too, even some university may require you to have the English, but usually at the PhD level, you may be able to request for a waiver. So, for example, I was considering university in the US. I remember Johns Hopkins required that IELTS, right? But I wrote to them that I was educated in English medium. Currently, I had my master's in the UK, and they said, "Okay, we'll waive it for you." I used the old one. I think after a year or two, you no longer can. Yeah, 2 years. You can't get the IELTS results again. So I told them I wrote the IELTS some time back. These were the results, and it was waived. So sometimes, on case by case basis, you may be able to also request for a waiver. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what is other important things to add to this topic about.
So what you've said is that, first of all, you need to know what you're doing. And right afterwards, you need to search out for the universities that you intend to offer those programs. Reach out to a potential supervisor, find out if there's funding, and then what else. So if you reach out to a supervisor, do you have any tips? Because I know people write emails. I've had my own experience. People will write you, "Oh, I saw your profile here. I want you to do this for me. I want this funding." And then they just write the email to you. Are there any specific things you want people to look out for or include in their emails when they are writing to potential supervisors, either masters or PhD?
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know what I did. I do sometimes do a bit of background search to some of these things. For example, Google is quite helpful in terms of providing how do you email a potential supervisor some of the pieces of advice. But usually, at least if you can be concise, brief, and then point out why. You think sometimes you even have to attach your CV and transcript. Sometimes it projects you in a positive light. And the other issue being that, these are my interests. I've gone through your profile. I've even looked at some of your research works, and I think that these align with what I'm interested in. And I wanted to inquire whether you'll be available to be my supervisor should I get admission to the program. Things like that. I think,
Okay. So what happened in your classical situation after reaching out to a potential supervisor? Did you attend an interview? What happened?
Okay. So in my case, there was no interview. And I think generally the program, the PhD Nursing Science program at the School of Nursing, we call it Lawrence S. Bloomberg Faculty of Nursing. I don't think any of us was interviewed. But I know a student who was going to a different faculty in the University of Toronto who was interviewed. That person was going to the Institute of Health Planning, Monitoring, Evaluation. That person was interviewed. So I think faculty by faculty and how they do their things. Yeah.
And do you know of any maybe website? For example, there's a website called scholarshippositions.com. If you register and you subscribe, you receive alerts on scholarships that are available in different countries. Apart from picking out specific universities of interest and going to their website directly to check whether there are scholarships available, Do you know of any site or any way people could get alert so that when there are scholarships available in specific schools, they will be well informed?
Yes, I know such websites exist, and though I have not subscribed to any myself, because usually I just use the general search. For example, moving beyond the university level funding, there are some scholarships that are provided by the government of that country. So you have Australian government scholarships, right? The Commonwealth Scholarship Commission in the UK, I think, have, for example, those are national level scholarships that are being provided. So sometimes you can just sort of search for scholarship opportunities for international students in Australia. And if you do something like that, for example, the Australian government scholarship will come up. You read about it to see who are the eligible applicants and all that. So apart from the university level funding, because for example, someone going to the UK, investing in the UK. Okay, it's now that Ghana has been taken out of the list of Commonwealth countries that can use the Commonwealth scholarship to pursue a PhD. I think 3 or 4 years ago, Ghana was taken out because they reclassified the countries. But other countries can go and, students from other African countries can go and study in the UK on the Commonwealth scholarship. And so you apply to that. So these are national level scholarships that are there. Yeah. But usually, as I said, I do general search for search information. Just type in the right words and Google can direct you appropriately. Yeah.
Okay. So can I ask, what do you think were your strong, points? What do you think? Of course, I know you're a Christian and God has played a key role, but apart from that, what other things do you think were your strong areas that perhaps put you in a better position to win this scholarship? So that you can put it together.
Okay.
Do you think
Commonwealth Masters? No.
Okay. Do you think maybe publications, research publications, and all that are critical to some of these applications, especially in Canada as well?
Yes, I think that once again it also depends on the context as well. In some, I know, with undergraduate degree, you can do your PhD in the United States. Whereas in other countries, you need to have your master's before, right? Yeah, so usually at the undergraduate level, sometimes I don't think the expectation is that you should have publications to your credit, But
are you saying that in Canada as well, even if you have undergraduate, straight away you can go and do PhD? Is that what you're saying?
No, not at all. You can't. So Canada is one of the countries that you require, at least let me speak for University of Toronto. You need, and the fact
because I know someone who did straight away from UCC and did a PhD in Canada.
Good.
So it's possible.
Let me use the University of Toronto and specifically the Faculty of Nursing that you need a minimum of masters. Once again, these are information that you always will find at the program's website in terms of the minimum educational qualification required to be able to apply, right? Yeah. So I think in terms of some of the things that can help, I think I did apply this was very helpful in my master's application, and I think that when we got to the UK and by interacting we attended a number of CSC programs, the Commonwealth Scholarship programs, and sometimes you are interacting with the commissioners. The commissioners are the people who read your applications, and they will tell us, do you know why there were so many people who applied to this scholarship, but do you know why you are the ones chosen? And they'll go on to tell you that apart from the fact that you had first class, because many other students had first class and they applied, but they didn't get.
That's right.
We looked at your CVs and we realized that you are doing so much for your country that we think that when we give you a little push, this person will come out and do more. So they'll be looking at things like there are volunteering roles. What have you done, in terms of volunteering? And the other stuff that you've done outside just the first class that you have.
Extracurricular activities.
And, for us, the interesting thing is that because we have spent some time in the system before going, at least by the time we're applying, we had a lot to write about in terms of some of the things. So, and innocently, when we're working at Sanima Hospital, we worked hard, some of the things we did. We didn't know that they were going to help us in this way. Sometimes you go to work early in the morning, you'll be the last to close. And that's the time the hospital gave you a certificate that says valuable recognition of your valuable contribution. So, okay, this comes in handy. Or that award that you got. Or even the fact that you were the one taking the heads of unit meeting, and all those things put together, spoke a lot about you. And so if you are somebody who have not had spend that much time in the system to maybe gather those things. It just simply means that start from where you are, so that even as I'm in school, then I'll look for opportunities to volunteer. When leadership role comes in, I have to seek to engage in it. Can it be being the class rep? You know, it can be being the planning committee of the University Nursing Students Association, you know, and all those things, little things that we do. And then when we come to the workplace too, let's maintain good relationship with people. I mean, back even at the university, your faculty members, you are going to need them to be helping you with what is the name, reference letters and all that, you know. Right. Yes, and so these things play a lot, you know, apart from the, needless to say, that we all need to do well on the academic side of things.
Thank you, Stephen. Viewers, Stephen is mentioned nursing, but this is, I mean, a cut across all programs and all fields. The key highlights cut across, engaging in extracurricular activities and all that. It doesn't pertain to only nursing. So we hope you capture that. Briefly, I mean, I know that you had your PhD offer, you had your scholarship and everything, but the visa to get to Canada was a big problem. What was it? What is the situation, so that if there's somebody going to Canada, they will be able to know that and they avoid the trouble you went through?
I think that first off, you know, because of my UK experience, when I applied to, when I was going to the UK and with my funding, I just applied. It was a smooth process. So when I was applying for study permit to Canada, I thought it was equally something similar. So with just the funding that I got from the university, I just put in that application. In fact, I didn't even attach any other financial document apart from the PhD funding document. Then when it came,
so let me clarify. What you're saying, that when you came here for masters in the UK, you don't need any extra bank statement to add, because the school or the funding body has already provided everything. All you need to show is that funding letter.
Yes.
But for Canada, you thought it's going to be the same process, and you just provided the scholarship letter, and they didn't accept it. Is that right?
Yes. So when it came, one of the comment has to do with limited financial assets, you know. So in the second one, I did include some bank statement here and there, but at the same time, you know, I think that the Canadian system is slightly different.
Okay.
I think there are many students out there who have had admission letters and are applying for Canadian study permit, and they are being refused here and there. I think there are a lot of people who can relate to that. I interact with people and they tell me, "Oh, I know this person. This is what happened." You know, at some point, I felt like maybe we may have to come together and write some sort of a petition to the Canadian embassy to look into these things. Really, I don't, because I almost lost my program at some point, because the university emailed me and said, "Look, if by January this year you're not in, we will not allow you further registration on the program." You know. So I had to include that in the letter. My last application, the fourth application, I had to make it clear to the embassy.
You applied for the visa for 4 times.
4 times. So study permit, called a study permit. 4th time, I made it clear that, look, I mean, I know Canada prides itself as a country committed to equity, diversity, inclusion, and all those things. But look, here's the case. I have funding for my program.
Okay.
And with what you're doing, I stand the risk of losing that program. And I don't think it will be fair in the future to say that I got a program at U of T, but I couldn't finish it because I didn't get a visa. You know,
because of time, sorry, Stephen. So to put it in context, what you're saying is that when people are applying for, even if you get a scholarship, the school or the funding body is paying for everything, stipend, tuition. It is not enough when it comes to Canada.
Yes.
They need you to show something else, like a bank statement with some good amount of money, isn't it?
Yes. So, I mean, minimum, usually in terms of living costs, you need about 10,000 for your living cost, 10,000 Canadian dollars for a year. And so my funding, if after paying fees, I will have more extra, but still I wasn't getting, you know. So I don't know what that was the case. But usually you need to demonstrate that. So whoever is applying to similar this, you have to demonstrate some of these things. Pay attention to what the feedback are, because in your subsequent application, they want to see how you have addressed the concerns, which led them to reject your previous application. So make sure you address them, and then create a separate letter highlighting how you have responded to each of the concerns that have been raised. Yeah.
Interesting. I know I've also heard of some of the reasons given, like perhaps you do not have strong ties at home so that when you finish, you can return. What do they mean? Is it like
Yes.
they want only people who are married, or what exactly are they talking
I
about?
think sometimes they are trying to just look at, they want to get the impression that this person has a lot going on in their life, in their home country, that look, after the program, they wouldn't want to stay in Canada, they will go back. You know, I mean, they just want to ensure that you do not have the economic motives to remain in Canada after your program. So sometimes that's the reason. Say this person has limited financial asset, and that there are limited employment opportunity in his home country. And so because of these reasons, we think that the economic motives to remain in Canada is high. Things like that.
Interesting.
Yes.
So apart, will you then recommend, I mean, of course, it's an obvious question, that people perhaps reach out to others who have gone ahead, or will you think they should seek for the services of lawyers when they are applying for some of these?
Yeah, I mean, I that idea at some point came in. I just wasn't comfortable with that. I would have rather chosen to look to a different country or invest in a different country. That was what I was going to do, really. Despite the fact that I've finished 1 year of the program, I was willing to look elsewhere. I mean, my colleague Johnny Yaba, who's in the UK now, I mean, we did have this conversation and all that, and I think that these are some of the ways to look at it. And then maybe, I know PhD applications can sometimes be tough. I mean, sometimes it's also not just about you, but you feel like you're bothering people, asking them for reference letters here and there, but I suppose they will understand. Otherwise, you can apply to different countries and then see. I mean, not just one country. Apply to Canada, US, Australia, those other places as well. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, viewers, thanks very much for being here. We are speaking to Stephen, and as you can see, we've engaged him on his own personal experiences for his scholarship application. He has been to the UK for masters and then Canada for PhD. For UK, once you get a scholarship, you don't need any extra bank statement to prove that you have money, you can take care of yourself, because obviously the funding body is paying for both your stipend to take care of yourself and then your your tuition. And he thought it was the same principle for Canada. So when he applied and he got the funding, he decided to use the same letter of sponsorship for the application. But they turned him down. He applied for 4 different times, and he had to stay in Ghana for 1 full year, even though he was enrolled on a PhD in Canada. So the lesson here is that you need to scrutinize things. You need to ensure you are contacting people who have gone ahead so that they can guide you, or read every single detail. And like I said, in case you are refused, it means you don't have to relent, but perhaps read the feedback very critically and then reapply. And this is very, very instructive, because for you to get a PhD funding, fully funded, it's not like partially funded, fully funded, and yet be staying in Ghana for extra 1 year. And it means you've done 1 year of your PhD in Ghana. It might be very frustrating. So, Stephen, thanks very much for being very, very open, overt, and sharing your experiences. There are a lot of other things I could speak to you about, but because of time, if you have to summarize all that you've said in terms of your experiences, key lessons for people, whether nursing or whichever field, what will you tell people who are watching us?
All right. So thank you. I mean, whatever we do, as we advance in the profession of nursing, the goal is ultimately to improve patient care, to contribute to improving the quality of care for our patients. I know that was something we could have spoken about, but we didn't get the time. But I think that whatever we are doing, as we seek to advance ourselves in the profession, is aimed at improving the quality of care for our patients. And in Ghana, I mean, from where I sit and what I've seen elsewhere in other countries, and comparing to what we have in Ghana and other low middle income countries, we do have a long way to go. We do have a long way to go in terms of building quality into our healthcare system. We are currently within the era of the SDGs, and one of the key things has to do with universal health coverage. But we are not only talking about universal health coverage, but we are talking about quality universal health coverage to build quality into the foundations of healthcare systems. Otherwise, come 2030, we would have said that we have increased access to healthcare. But you know what we did? We were only increasing access to poor quality care. And that will still not lead us to the outcomes that we hope to accomplish. So we all have a role to play. as nurses. System leaders have theirs to play. The state has to play, but we also as nurses have our role to play. And one of them being in terms of how we relate with our patients, particularly in relation to patient experience of healthcare. You know, among some of the indicators of quality care, which require resources, I don't think we need resources to be nice to a patient, to treat a patient with dignity, to treat the patient with respect, to value their values and preferences, and factor that into the decision-making process. But day in and day out, we hear stories about negative attitude of health staff, and it's telling us that the public expects more from us. And then what that also tells us that, yes, we find ourselves in a good place to make that difference. So let's all do the best we can to improve, because when we build better health systems, it is for us. Today I'm a nurse, but tomorrow I'm a patient. And whatever system is out there is what I'm going to be in. So if I contribute and build a quality health system, when I become a patient, I will not need to call a big man somewhere to come and speak to someone to do this when it is their responsibility. I want to thank everyone who has tuned in today. Thank you for your time, for being with us. Maybe that is precious words, but also to say thank you to my wife, my number one cheerleader, for being here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. Very appreciative, Stephen. I can't thank you enough. Viewers, our guest has been Mr. Stephen Adombiri. He's a Ghanaian. He's a principal nursing officer at the Sandema District Hospital in the Upper East region of Ghana. And currently he's a PhD student in nursing science at the University of Toronto in Canada. And he holds a master's in nursing from the King's College London, a BSc from University of Cape Coast, and then Boga NTC. He holds a diploma in nursing. In case someone wants to reach you, they want to contact you for support in the application process, either being master's, PhD, or even guidance, mentorship in general, how do they reach you? Are you available for them to be supported?
Yes, I am available. And
how do they reach you, bro?
So through email, I think should I send my personal email? So I've just sent it to you.
Yeah, just say it, and then we can.
Okay, so it's Steve. Everything is small letters. Steve, STEV. There's no E after the V. STEV.
Okay.
STEV. Steve dot academic. The issue academic we know. ACA.
Yeah.
DEMIC.
Yeah.
At gmail.com.
At gmail.com.
Yeah. So
right.
Steve,
fantastic.
academic@gmail.com.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure having you. Viewers, I can't thank you enough. We are not out of words, but we are out of time. Thank you very much, Stephen. And we are happy. Have a wonderful time. And
thank you, Precious.
God bless you for coming, bro.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time.
Cheers.